Hello and welcome to the Glory Talk podcast, a ministry of Glory Dance. I'm your host, Roz Mignona. In this episode of Glory Talk, I am speaking with one of my favorite people in the entire world, the kid expert, Kathleen Chapman. Kathleen is a lifelong teacher, mentor, and friend, and we're going to dive into Glory Dance, temperaments, parenting, and so much more. You're going to love it. Let's get started. So I'm here with Kathleen.
Hi, Roz.
And it's just so good to see you again and to be doing this again. I was trying to figure out when we recorded our podcast before, how many years ago that was.
Well, I'd have to check and see what blouse I had on.
Right.
You know, I can tell by fashion sometimes.
I can tell by how many different haircuts I've had.
Yes.
So my hair was definitely long.
Yep.
So I'm assuming that most of the people listening to this or watching this maybe haven't met you before, because it has been a couple of years, and the people that are connected with me now, a lot of them are newer to my life. And so sometimes I'll bring up this lady, my life mentor, Kathleen Chapman. She's brilliant. I was in her programs my whole life, in her musical theater programs, and then we did some podcasts. And by the time I'm done, talking about you, people are dying to know what these podcasts are. So let me introduce you a little bit.
Okay.
From my perspective, you had a musical theater program, and I grew up in it. And I would say it definitely shaped my life, not only my career, but my faith and kind of my worldview and perspective. And then when I was older, you had a book published called Teaching Kids Authentic Worship. And you are brilliant. You teach women, you teach families. You have, how many grandchildren do you have? 10?
We have 11 right now.
11. And so 3 children and 11 grandchildren. And one of them just graduated at the top of her class in high school. And
Victorian. Mm-hmm.
It's just so incredible. So, want to add anything about yourself to what I just said?
I have worked in a lot of areas of teaching children my whole life, but I have taught children's theater for 40 years, and drama camps and workshops and everything to do with kids. And I go into schools and churches, and it's really been an exciting ride. And that's when I met you, when you were 4 years old and belonged on stage. Roz, you always belonged on stage. And that was for sure. So we've known your family for a long time.
Long time.
And your dad, who is a world-class pianist and organist and composer and arranger, has been writing kids' musicals with me for 30 years now. So we are connected.
Yes. And I have some ideas to kind of incorporate music and recording and maybe bringing back some of the famous Chapman Music Company musicals and songs. I don't know. I would love, if my parents are watching, the Christmas present I want is recording equipment. And my kids are at the age where it would be really fun to record stuff with them. And so yeah, there's certain things, gosh, when I'm even cleaning my house, where songs from the musicals just pop up and I'm singing, singing along. Anyway, but definitely, it's definitely navigated a lot of my life and the way I'm raising the kids. And I wanted to have a conversation with you, kind of as I get started and launch Glory Dance. Because I think a lot of the people that will be joining us and following us are families that you could very much influence.
And people interested in the arts and music, and it's a brilliant idea. I love it.
Well, thank you. I'm really excited, and as I've said a couple times before on the clips that I've posted about Glory Dance, this is something God's put on my heart for years, and just let this idea develop. And this was the crazy year that happened and made me kind of realize, all right, Lord, this is the time. I did want to, I just mentioned that we recorded podcasts before.
Mm-hmm.
So we're not going to spend this time together going over everything we already recorded.
Right.
But I do want to refer people to those. And when I get this podcast posted, I'll post links to those.
Okay.
But one thing that you are famous for teaching is temperaments, and the way that you implement teaching temperaments to families so they understand each other and how they're designed. And I always say understanding temperaments has given me so much more grace as a parent to kind of, realize that God made them differently, and this is how I need to show this particular kid or family member, spouse, my husband, love. This is what really speaks to them. This is how I can describe what speaks to me and how I receive love and care. And yeah, it's been really fun to learn the temperaments. I even listened back to one of the old ones that we recorded when my oldest was still young, and my oldest is 12, 7th grade this year. And so, and the story was that I originally called you asking for help when she was about, I think maybe 3, and she was screaming no at me. And I was like, okay, I know I'm doing something wrong here. I have like no control at all. What's going on? And you kind of swooped in and helped me just see things, more from the perspective of understanding temperaments and where I needed to put on my red hat versus my green hat when I was parenting, and that we would all be a lot happier. So anyway, I definitely want to refer everyone to that, to learn about these. Can you give us like a super brief?
Because I'm going to talk a little bit about it today, about some things like holidays and things like that. So there are 4 basic temperaments, and they've been around for thousands of years, and they are called by many things, but I teach them in colors. The 2 loudest, strongest temperaments are the red, yellow. Reds are the leaders in the world. They are the powerful people, usually presidents of the United States, presidents of the banks, of everything. They are usually red. They are just natural born leaders, and everything they do is right. And they are the ones who will give you the hardest time, especially if you aren't a red. The second, yellow, is also as loud and equally as noisy, but they are fun and entertaining, and their world is exciting. Everything about them is passionate, everything. And you will see them brush their teeth in a different way than anybody else does if they ever get the toothpaste on the toothbrush, because there's so many other different things you can do with it, But a yellow is just a bundle of fun. And then there's the blue and the green. They're the quieter of the 4 temperaments. The blue is the melancholy. The blue is the thinker, the processor, the planner, the serious, intense, thoughtful, tender. They just take things very seriously and deeply. And the greens are delightful. They are the nicest people in the world. They just are easy people, but they want peace. They want everyone to get along. They like it when it's quiet and organized. No, not organized. They like it when it's quiet and peaceful, and it's happy for everybody. Mm-hmm. They're not dynamic people, and that's what's fun about watching you grow up, Roz, you being a green-red. Your green was the delightful part of you that I communicated with, and that you were willing to do whatever I said on stage. The red could have directed every show I did. And did try once or twice. And you were very determined and very strong, and you accomplished everything you set out to do. You mastered every dance, every script, every show with determination. And that's what a red does. They take things very seriously. So fortunately, you had your green, which made you delightful and sweet as could be. So it is fun to see how we operate in the 4 temperaments. I am a yellow-red, so I'm loud on both ends, which is my poor family, but my kids are not in therapy yet. So the Lord took care of them and they did pretty well by it. But I'm very, very loud and strong, and I'm always, I come on, I have to be careful that I come on, a little too much so with some people. I married a red blue. He's a very gentle blue. He's deep, he's thoughtful. He is kind. He is the best friend to everybody, and he balances me out. And it's really been fun watching God take care of our marriage and having a good time doing it. We have 3 kids. They're all different temperaments. And now I have 11 grandchildren. They are all different temperaments. And it's life-changing to understand who is in your world.
Right.
And how you can react and work with them. Yeah.
And I always love what you say, how understanding your temperaments and those of your kids and your spouse helps you also know how to ask the Holy Spirit to change your heart or to mold you.
How to pray for, how to pray for your own self and your family.
Right. And identifying your natural weaknesses, and people like reds or blues might be so frustrated with their weaknesses or where they feel they fall short and want to just jump in and force change or force themselves to be different or force other people to be different, and to ask the Holy Spirit. I think that's been really powerful too, to also teach the kids. I sent you a text recently where my yellow was like, why do I have to be a yellow? It just seems like they get in trouble all the time.
Yeah. But I remember getting in trouble all the time, but I remember thinking it was fun, or thinking it was better than living a boring life.
Mm-hmm.
It was something my parents did not appreciate.
I mean, it's hard for me. It's been really hard I have all the colors represented in our family, and I would say that my yellow kid is a ton of fun, but I've had to teach myself how to have fun with her, and to really, because I prefer either control or peace and quiet. And so having someone who I think emotionally and imagination wise are never really in control, it's just always so much that they're thinking about or feeling, that it's really hard to not get frustrated with that. But
and as a parent, you can actually teach them how to work with their temperament.
Right.
And how to pray through things. Yeah.
Exactly. And that there's a time for different behaviors, and I would definitely describe yellow as drama. From my perspective, yellow's drama.
Yes.
And red is fiery passion and
power.
Yeah. And blue, the blue that comes out in our home is a struggle with my red blue. It's a struggle with the perfectionism. Yep. And always needing it to be perfect, and getting so upset because, we moved into this apartment we're staying in right now, and within 5 minutes she locked her door, unpacked all our boxes, got her closet completely set up, got the bathroom set up, done, and we're still carrying boxes in, and she's like, Mom, come here, I did my room, and it's like a magazine, and but then she has to learn the grace of having all these other temperaments to live with, and yes, they have to share a bathroom, and the lesson I had to teach her was, you trust me, you're not going to want to be alone in your life, and the only time you're ever going to experience this perfect, everything under control, lifestyle that you always achieve for, you're going to just push everybody out of it. You need to learn how to ask the Lord for grace in this. The funniest part of that story, though, was I came in to talk to her. My husband's like, green. He's like, you need to go talk to her. I can't deal with this. She's completely lost it. She cannot stop, being so upset. I don't even know how to talk to her. So I go in. I'm like, I'm really smart. I'm going to outsmart this one. And I sit down and I'm like, it feels really frustrating when you don't have things the way you want, or you get it set up really perfectly, and then the kids come in. And she looked at me. She goes, Yeah, and I know what you're gonna say. You feel the same way about parenting, and we go through the same problems.
She's got your number.
Oh, she totally does.
It's so true. But
oh man. So anyway, all that to say, it is fascinating. So we did a handful of really long, very detailed podcasts about this, about tantrums and how to bless the different temperaments. And it was so much fun. And I went back and listened to those, and it was just totally worth it to kind of get a refresher.
Good.
And then, so it's been a couple years. What have you been doing, I should say, like before this COVID year, but just in your ministry and life with your grandkids growing up and all of that? What have been the highlights of what you've been doing?
Well, it's interesting. I keep very busy. Before COVID, I was speaking usually once a week. I tried to keep it to once a week, and it would be to different organizations and MOPS groups and women's meetings. And actually, I speak to Bible studies and church staffs and things like that on the temperaments. And my passion is making sure every child knows Jesus and falls in love with him. So I do a lot of that in parenting classes and things like that. It stopped so quickly when this pandemic happened. And I'm a people person, so I didn't know what I was going to do. I was locked up for the first 4 months. My kids seem to think I'm a senior citizen. I know, I'm shocked. And so they didn't want me to go anywhere or do anything. And my husband kept working. He was considered a essential. Yes. But so the Lord really took me through a few things, and I did some writing. I do scripts for Easter programs and Christmas programs, and I do scripts for camps for kids and stuff like that. So I write a lot. I did a murder mystery, which I used to do. As a godly woman, to write a murder mystery is really a challenge, you know. But so it's really fun, the different things I've been able to do. But my heart is kids and them meeting Jesus and living a life that that their parents can share in the reward of what God has given them, the talents and the plans he has for them. And so I tend to just say yes if the Lord calls me to do something, you know. I love talking with you because you always have such fun questions, and you're right there in the real world, Roz. You are out there with other moms. You are a great mom. You are a daughter. You're a wife. You have all the real problems that exist in today's world. And so I love your questions, and I love your quest to learn and to grow.
Well, thank you. Definitely learning, but yeah, I do have a passion for learning. And you know, the question I had prepared was, you know, what COVID life has been like for you and this year when you look at it. And I'm thinking I want to ask you more specifically for kids. What are the good and bad things, outcomes of what the year 2020 has brought to us?
I think that that parents have been, I think this has been dropped in parents' lives very unexpectedly, as far as the responsibility it has put on them, the unexpected responsibility it's put in a parent's life this year. Kids are easy to parent when they go to school, and you get away from them for a little while. And you also can regroup as a parent and refresh yourself. But when you are 24/7 in a house full of kids, it's definitely unnecessary pressure that parents have been under, and kids. I want to say that the family time has been something amazing for our kids and their kids, because our grandkids are from 8 to 18 and they're still all home, and the family time was getting pretty busy with the preteens and the teens.
Right.
And it just quit. And they were back having dinner together every night and actually having some Bible studies and actually doing some really cool things. And I was very impressed with our kids and them, but it's an intentional, on purpose thing that they had to do. And it is exhausting.
Exhausting,
It
right?
is really exhausting. Our boys all work, our daughter-in-laws all work, and it's like they had to shuffle all this together, you know.
Right.
So I feel sorry for the kids that had to stay home. Depending on the temperament, there's a couple of temperaments that really enjoyed staying home.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's the temperaments that desperately need to be with other kids and need to go out of the house and feel like they have a life. And a lot of prayer, I would say, this year for the parents that have done this on purpose. I'm sad for the parents that didn't take it seriously at first, and we know a lot of families that didn't, and they kind of lost sight of what was happening in their house and their kids. They didn't realize one kid was really depressed. A little Blue was very, very depressed at 10 years old, and they didn't even see it for a while because they were so not prepared for what was to be expected of them. They figured just set him in front of the TV for those hours, and then we'll get a nanny, and then we'll get home from work, and life as usual. And so that threw them a curve. And I think that's what I would just throw out there, is to be aware of your kid's temperament and what this year has done to them, because I can guarantee you it's had an impact.
Yeah, absolutely. And we've homeschooled since day one. So I've been put kind of in an interesting position where people are asking me, you know, how to do this, or I'm just naturally in conversations. And what happens is, especially based on the different parents' temperament, it's going to influence, you know, the choices they make and how they do school. And I have a podcast coming up with one of my good friends who's homeschooled her 4 kids and just graduated her first one from high school. And so we're going to talk homeschooling with her. But I will say that my number one advice to families that just start homeschooling, and by the way, I always say there's a difference between COVID homeschooling and people who choose to homeschool.
Right.
Because homeschooling is an all-in choice. It's something that takes over your entire life. You don't get the kids gone during the day to regroup and clean your house and stuff. You do life together. And it's very challenging, and there's tears. And my oldest is in 7th grade, and I feel like this year's the first year I really have a solid confidence in what I'm doing. So there's philosophy, there's there's conviction behind getting started. And I would say the biggest mistake people make is feel like they have to recreate school at home, because you're going to fail, because you cannot do as well as school does with their stuff and their teachers and their playgrounds and stuff. I mean, you have to do things differently. And I often tell families that are new to having their kids home that there's a detox period, and that you should just do wonderful, beautiful things for a couple months. And the academics, unless your kid, usually the Blues or the Reds, you know, they want to like get back to schoolwork, you got to figure out how to be home together. And I was recently talking to a friend that was just comparing herself to the accomplishments they would have been doing in school, and that, you know, she just felt like she was forcing everything and her kids were unhappy. And I said, you know what? I think you need to just take a week off, clean slate, take your kids to Starbucks or something that they would think was so cool. Do things that if they were in regular school, it would never, you know, they would never do. And so everyone can kind of fall in love with this whole we're home together every day thing. And it's not just summer break, and it's not just a weekend day. Like, you know, figure out how to enjoy the time together, and then slowly start bringing learning into it. And so if you can do that, I know some people are doing school on their computers and stuff, but my advice to parents in these situations is do super fun things and identify the temperaments to figure out what would be a super cool, fun thing to do.
Exactly. Oh my goodness. Exactly. Oh, this same family had a little green child who loved staying at home and loved sitting at the computer every day and just loved having it quiet in her room and loved the entire thing. So you have to know who your child is and their temperament to be effective at teaching and to be effective at anything you try to do.
Yeah.
Really, yeah.
And this is so new for teachers. I would also encourage parents that are doing the school thing, like be involved still. I personally would never just leave them to it. I heard a story about a mom whose son was waiting for show and tell, and he was probably a little green, blue kid, quiet, and he waited and waited the whole time he was waiting. And then the teacher said, okay, time's up. And she just like ended the class. And the poor little boy was devastated because he never got to share his show and tell thing. And he waited quietly and patiently while all the kids were crazy on the meeting. So anyway, I feel like, again, the more we can understand what's important to our kids because of their temperaments and the way they're designed will help us navigate this whole crazy season.
That's right.
And I'm launching Glory Dance as, it's fitness and it's dance, and it's not just for kids. I mean, I'm really designing this. I've been posting pictures of my mom doing this with me, and it's really just something enjoyable and purposeful for families to do at home. And this was a great year to finally launch this because everyone's at home. And this whole idea of doing things like working out at home is kind of more normal now for a lot of people. But there's also a deeper meaning or a deeper reason why God put this on my heart. And that's more of what's happening in our culture and how, the enemy has taken the performing arts and corrupted them and turned them into something horrible in our culture. Not surprising. But, I think I see things like I was at a pizza shop, waiting in the parking lot to get my pizza delivered to me. And I see a young, probably 12 or 13-year-old set her phone down and then do this funny little like bumping, grinding move. It's probably TikTok video or Snapchat or whatever. And it just breaks my heart because the culture has influenced it so much that this is what kids think they're supposed to be doing or that this is what dance is. So anyway, lots and lots of reasons that fill my heart with passion for what we're trying to accomplish with Glory Dance. But you spent your whole career teaching kids and families how to use performing arts for God's glory. So my question now is, what is your perspective on our culture today, and how can we turn this around and keep teaching our kids to use performing arts, but also just any gifts for the Lord?
Well, and you said gifts, and I do believe that we are gifted in different areas, and there are families and kids that need to be doing performing arts, and they need to be singing and dancing, and it's part of who they are. God made them to be, and if we don't give them an avenue, they will go to the world. And we live in a godless world with a godless culture, and it's getting more so every day. And rather than, I'm not a radical, and I don't get out and picket things, and I don't pledge to never go to Disneyland again. I am not that type of person. I want to make something available for kids and families that honors God. And that's where my energy goes. And Roz, this is exactly what you're going to be doing. And it is so exciting. It's like, you just can't believe. I get, well, I've been doing it for a lot of years. And when I get letters and emails from somebody, just a few months ago, I got one from a woman who's on the mission field right now. She was in my son John's 4th grade class at school, and she was in my musicals. She was very quiet, and she thanked me for the reprise that she got when she was in my drama camp from bullies. And the fact that I made a safe place, and it was the only place she wasn't bullied. And it broke my heart, But she said she knew that because I loved God so much, that was why there was no bullying in drama. And she knew that he was the one that she wanted to focus on the rest of her life. Now, I would never, if I'd known this little girl had been bullied, I would have moved heaven and earth.
Mm-hmm. You would have followed her home and followed her to school.
Oh my word. Oh my word. It would have not ever happened to get in her life. It was one of those things. So you never know who God is going to bring to your dance.
Yeah.
You never know who God is going to pull into your life and put under your influence. And you just have to trust him. And you just have to take all your passion and your energy and do what you are made to do.
Yeah.
And I love I got one from a guy who's in the military in Germany, who was in my shows and who said that he's never been the same since. God gets all the glory, but I hear from somebody every few months my entire life. I had no idea. There's been thousands of kids in my workshops and my classes over the years. And I'm so glad God gave me the opportunity to show his love to these kids and to make him a priority. So,
and do you feel like it was always just focusing on God's call for you instead of any results or any, the income?
Yeah, no, I wasn't deep enough, Roz, to see the big picture. What I did know is that I had 3 kids, and I loved the stage. I grew up on the stage, and I wanted them to have this opportunity. They could do sports if they wanted at school, but they were doing theater, musical theater, and that has actually given them more training than sports ever did. My kids can stand in front of thousands of people and speak without even hesitating, just because they've been on stage their whole life. So no, my thing was I wanted my kids to use their talents and honor God, and to keep them busy and keep them focused on things of the Lord. And then I opened it up to all the other kids in the world, and fortunately was in churches along the way that loved my program and that endorsed it, and that had me come on staff and do the musical theater at the churches. And no, I never ever thought that this was going to impact people so profoundly.
Yeah.
Or it would have gone to my head, I, being a yellow, I probably would have loved that thought of, oh, you're going to do something really valuable. I just I wanted my kids and the kids that I ministered to love Jesus. So that's how it started.
I think, I struggle, and it's probably because I see more, the way that I know God called me to this is just identifying a need for something that I could offer that was unique. And it was this is something uniquely that I can use gifts that God has given me in the training I've received both spiritually and with dance. But then of course, I think the more mature we get spiritually, the more we get attacked, of course, especially when we step out and want to do something very, very boldly as something for the Lord and something in ministry.
Very intentional. Yes.
This week I posted Psalm 62, verses 5-8. My soul wait silently for God alone, for my expectation is from him. He only is my rock and my salvation. He's my defense, and I shall not be moved. In God is my salvation and my glory. The rock of my strength and my refuge is in God. Trust in him at all times. You people, pour out your heart before him. God is a refuge for us. And as I read this and chose to post it as the Bible verse for the week on social media, I just was reminded it's very easy in performing arts to always go to our own glory or our own success, or to base success on very earthly, worldly things. And so when you were talking about that and the messages that you're getting, it's the same with parenting too, and homeschooling. A lot of the reward when you choose to follow God is something you may never see, or it's going to be a long time before you see it.
Yeah.
And I think God's, it's awesome when God can prepare our hearts to just make it about serving Him and being convicted of when you see a need, an eternal need, a need from God, that you can fill, to answer that call. And that was, it's amazing to me to think that you didn't plan out everything that you did. You just did it because you wanted to do this for your kids. I love it.
Yes.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, I always said the better somebody did on stage, the more magnificent they sounded their voices, or they learned their script. I could always say, can you believe God gave you this kind of talent? It's so great that He made you so talented, that He could allow your body to dance like this, always bring it back to where they got it. So they could get a trophy at the end of the week, and they could thank God for the talent that they had. So the focus did not stay on them. The focus always went back to who made them.
Yeah. I had a good conversation with my daughter, who is that perfectionist one, and she is a champion gymnast as well. And she's so focused on those scores and the medals, the perfection. She has this gorgeous thing she does on the balance beam to get on it. I mean, something that you only see multiple levels up from her that she already does. And she said yesterday, oh, I took that out because I don't want to risk losing points if I fall. Even though she never fell on it the whole season, she did it last year. Anyway, but we had a conversation about that this isn't about your scores, and this is where you're just learning to use your talents for the Lord and use them. In a way, we talk about how what she's doing right now glorifies the Lord. I mean, she gains a lot of attention from people, and she's learned to be very good at sportsmanship, and we've gotten comments about that, which has been awesome. But we just had more deeper conversation about why is she doing this, and if it's always just about the points and the scores, or getting first place, that you actually lower your standards, then that's not really building you up for life.
I am proud of her for taking it so seriously, because God intentionally gave her this talent. So I would even feel the other way. If she didn't go for it, it's almost like saying you don't trust Him.
Right. He
gave her this talent, and her body, I've seen her doing her routines. She is phenomenal, and it doesn't just happen. There's a plan there. God created every one of us on purpose with a plan, and He did not give me a body like your daughter. Right. And the joke always was, when you guys were dancing and you were doing choreography, the older you got, Roz came in and choreographed in my theater, and was that I'll write the scripts, don't expect me to dance or do choreography. And yet I would try. I had fun trying, but that isn't how I was made. So it's a kit. But the fact that I love that she takes it seriously, because that talent was given to her on purpose. Mm-hmm. So she does have a responsibility to do well.
Just come in and take over my job for a week. It would really
okay.
It would really help some of my lectures where I'm pontificating out loud to the kids endlessly, and you're able to just concisely figure out the message I'm trying to get at but never really do. I don't know. They're used to we're in the car, I'm imprisoning all the kids as I have this conversation with Eden, and 20 minutes later, however long it took, Charlotte goes, what even got you started on that long talk?
I can't.
Why are you talking so long just now?
I doubt that she listened to too much of it. Have you figured out your son, what temperament he is?
Oh, he's just the sweetest little thing, but he might have red. It's like, God, I prayed that you would give me a non-red child, and I don't know, he's just used to getting everything he wants because he has the 3 sisters and then a mom, and he's just so sweet and adorable. You'd get a kick out of him if you got to spend some time with
I
him.
know I would. I know I would.
He is very smart, but he's very sweet and calm, but then flips to screaming and very strong-willed. So I don't know.
So that could be, he could have a touch of red there.
Or
Yeah.
it could just be the strong-willed side of green, and he'll grow
But
out.
they're not usually loud. The strong-willed side of the green will withdraw.
Mm-hmm.
And they're not the tantrum kids. So
Right.
sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry, there's probably a little red or yellow there.
I'd really love to know your perspective on these days in our current culture. Where do you think families compromise the most? Let's talk specifically Christian families that really want to, raise their kids in the Lord, or, raise their kids in the Lord. And, what are the things that are happening that are most damaging versus things that could be the most beneficial, which I think you've touched on. I think, seeing the evil everywhere and backing out, like, never going to Disneyland again or never doing this or that again. I think maybe we missed the mark.
That doesn't accomplish anything. I think what I'm most disappointed in this, the last couple of generations of children that I teach, is that they are most impressed, what they are most impressed by as they come into the class every day. And I'm talking church, I'm talking schools, I'm talking theater, I'm talking everything. Kids are impressed with electronics, and they are impressed with video games and their cell phones and their iPads, and they are impressed with Snapchat and everything that they have now that is available to them. That is their go-to. Wow, this is what is so attractive. It is so mind-blowing what they can do now, that they
like they're desensitized to valuable
absolutely
beauty of the Lord and of creation. And
I talk about God wows, and how when my grandchildren were really little, that was my focus. Every time they were at my house, I would point out something, and I would have done a little bit of research about it. Everything from a dandelion to a bird to a piece of grass to anything, something we ate. And I would say, did you know how God made that? Do you know what he did? And I would tell them something that would surprise them. We live in Southern California here, and right by San Juan Capistrano, and there's a bird called the swallow. Mm-hmm. And it used to migrate directly from South America to San Juan Capistrano every year. So Boeing started studying this bird because it leaves on the same day in South America in March and flies the same path, and it flies in record time, and the speed and the consumption of fuel that it needs, feeding itself,
right,
and everything is almost impossible for it to accomplish. And Boeing started doing a study on the swallow just because they were so fascinated by this bird. And it lands here in San Juan Capistrano and in the outside area, and they breed and they fly back to South America, and it's the same path. God did this. He did this. And you have scientists that are going, wow. You have people in big companies around the world that are going, what? There's a company in Dubai that is making a piece of machinery patterned after a grasshopper, just because of how the grasshopper functions.
Yep.
And there are so many God wows in this world. There are enough God wows that a child would be as impressed with them as they are with the iPad if they were exposed to them.
And that really just takes investment. It takes time, like you said, with your grandkids that you'd actually research ahead of time. It's exhausting. Yes,
It's intentional. It's intentional, and you don't bite off more than you can chew. I don't like being overwhelmed. I don't want to think I have to turn my kids on to, the God of the universe by mentioning 3,000 things he's done.
Right.
I did one day at a time. I just wanted them to get the feeling that not only was I impressed with God, because my facial expressions and everything would just, can't believe he did this, but that other people around the world are impressed and scientists are impressed.
Yeah.
I talked about the sea cucumber. It's a little ugly fish under the water, and it looks like a brown dill pickle with warts. Yeah. It is the ugliest thing I have ever seen in my life. And when a predator comes up to a sea cucumber and they sense the predator is about to get them, they actually poop out their insides completely. And the brain goes over here and is safe and will recreate its form and everything over there. And it's like, of course, I tell, 6th grade boys that, and they think that's the funniest thing in the entire world.
Exactly.
It's true. And
exactly.
God did this.
Yes.
He did this. So, Roz, I go to South America, down to Peru to visit my son. And you will not believe the delicacy that was served at this expensive restaurant. Sliced sea cucumber. And it was expensive. It was like $15 for a little teeny. Oh my goodness. I thought I would die. It's just amazing. God is so funny. And he did all these things.
To touch back on what I was talking about with homeschooling and, the way that we homeschool now, I mean, like I said, I only feel like I'm confident in what we're doing now, but it's come through many mentors and just God, laying on my heart what to do with our family. And not every family has to look the same, but a lot, there's definitely a lot of research on my part and philosophy and being fed by masters in the area of home education and stuff. So what we do basically is I've got a basic math and English, language arts curriculum. It's that we stick with. This year I decided to make it an afternoon project. We do it in the afternoons, like as if it's homework. And we spend our mornings doing beautiful things and focusing more on art and our devotions and our art and we're interest led and we read together. I have like a children's book and then a chapter book that I read out loud. We're in the Secret Garden right now, which they're so cute. And and we do nature stuff. We have nature journal. My husband's an incredible artist, so he kind of takes on the art thing, and I love trying to pretend I can draw, but my drawings look the same as they did in 2nd grade. But what you were just saying, I could imagine an entire day or week based on that sea cucumber, because you explain this hilarious story. Everyone could make, spend an hour drawing a cartoon book of that whole process you just described. You could make something in the kitchen and pretend that it was sea cucumber, and everyone had to eat it, or just so many things. And then researching, and when you really let God inspire the conversations and the directions of learning, and then you can get out your devices and research, so you don't have to keep an encyclopedia series at your house anymore.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's really sad how we use our devices as babysitters and desensitize ourselves too from really appreciating what's real around us and what's truly fascinating, and usually has something to do with creation.
The fact that God gave the scientists all these brains and the technical people all these brains, God's the one that allowed them to come up with all these things. Mm-hmm. And just even mentioning that every time they turn their iPod on. I mean, it's a it's a form of intentional repetition. You can call it brainwashing if you want, but the more you hear it, the more you see it, the more you believe it and remember it.
Right.
And that is so true with a child, especially when they're young. We did some funny God wows about the human body. Did you know our ear has only 2 muscles in it? Did you know that? The actual,
Nope.
our ear
Okay. Yeah.
only has 2 muscles in it. The cat's ear has 32 muscles in it.
Okay. Well,
One,
yeah, we can't really move our ears except
one cat's ear has 32 muscles. A dog's ear, 18.
Okay.
Okay, just that by itself is something that God did on purpose, and it blows my mind.
Yeah.
Blows my mind
Yeah.
what he let a cat. Now, maybe a cat's not as smart as us, but they have better ears than we do.
Yeah.
I mean, what he allowed, what he handpicked for every single animal and bug. It's just amazing.
It really is. I thought of a fun little craft with that little factoid would be get some Play-Doh and see who can make a cat ear with 18 pieces of Play-Doh or a human ear with 2.
Yeah. Yeah.
Play around with that.
Yeah.
No, it's amazing. Maybe you should write a book on all the God wows that you've encountered over the years.
You know, there are a couple books out there on God wows. I've gotten a couple. They're not as I probably should make my own, put it online.
Do something. That would be really fun to pull off because your ability to find those types of things.
It's
just the idea of that exhausts me.
Okay, did you know you can go online on Google and just type in a wow of under the sea or a wow of the air or an animal, just one animal, and type it in. Oh, oranges. Oranges are fascinating. There are so many different kinds of oranges, but you know, every one of them has exactly the same segments.
Wow.
No matter how they crossbreed them, and they have done, scientists have tried everything, and they can't change the amount of segments that are in an orange.
Wow. That's so cool. You know, with science, I think, you know, that's a big subject for Christians, but it's a very exciting subject for Christians. And one thing that sticks in my mind is some of the top scientists say, of course, I can't remember who, it was a famous person that died, and said, at the end of the day, we still can't figure out what's holding it together. What's holding, you know, the atom together, the energy. We can't figure out what's actually holding everything, holding the earth, holding the universe together. And it isn't interesting that the Bible clearly says that Jesus is holding the world together. It's all under his control and power. No, that's so much fun. So much fun. What do you think? What do you think is the most important thing families could be focusing on right now as they raise their kids, and looking back in your life, you know, what would you think are top things to just relax and focus on as the top priorities?
Respect. If a child is taught respect for their parents, the respect for God will come. The respect for each other will come. Respect for their teachers, their classmates, other human beings will come if they are taught to respect their parents. And I've said a dozen times, I have children that come into my classroom and I can tell you who runs the house. And I can tell you by meeting the child, if the child runs the house or if the parents are in control. Just by the way they treat people, by the way they treat me, by the way they treat each other. Things they say to each other. Respect is such a key to life for a Christian family and a Christian home. It blends into obedience. If you respect your parents, you will obey them. That is honoring God, and it's honoring them. And I don't have any trouble with kids in my classes that respect their parents and know what it means to obey. I have no trouble with those kids. It's easier for them to go through school. It's easier for them to go through life. And it's not caving. You know, I've had parents, they weren't Christians, but they've had I've had parents say they want their child to become their own person. Yeah, and after they turn 18, they can become their own person. God actually set in place this whole idea of parents for kids. And the parent is the parent. And now legally, the parent is the parent until they're 18. So the child should not be bossing the parent around and ordering, doing what they want just because they want to. It's just part of a healthy childhood, being taught to respect.
Unpack that. What do you think? It's probably a lot based on the temperaments and the environment and the intentions of the parents and their preparedness for parenting. It's really easy to think, oh, we just need to yell and punish them into respecting. No. But how would you approach the idea of teaching children to respect?
There was a consequence in our house. And the consequences had a lot to do with the different temperaments. But when mom said something, it was obeyed. Now, you don't argue and you don't yell no, and you don't scream at mom ever, because there was a consequence that was so hard, so uncomfortable that they wouldn't want to do it again. And
we talked about that in our last podcast. We talked about
tantrums, kids, little ones. Yeah.
Yes. And just even you can translate that to any age probably. But one of the things you always would say is, if the consequence doesn't work the first time, then don't do it again. If it doesn't work, you can't keep doing it. But like discovering what consequences are most effective for the temperaments. This is really a powerful tool.
Yeah.
But I'm sorry, my green shows so much because I'm like, that's exhausting.
It is exhausting.
That's so much work. That's such hard work. But
it's not if you have it planned ahead of time.
Right. Exactly.
If you have it planned ahead of time, and this is what will happen if you disobey mom. If you don't do your chores this week, this is your consequence. If you talk back, this is your consequence. You know that material things are very important to yellows. They love their toys and their playthings and all their fun things, anything fun.
And their experiences.
And their fun times and what they can do. So that would be my first thing you take away. That would kill a yellow child. Dwayne said when he was growing up, his mother had a stool in the center of the room. She didn't know he was ADD. So that was like the worst thing that could ever happen, is to have him put on that stool. And it worked for him, because when he had to go sit on that stool for half an hour, and she would make him sit for 30 minutes. That's a bit much for a little child. But she would do that, and his skin would crawl. He would chew the inside of his mouth. I mean, that was horrible. So she did find something that would keep him from wanting to go back to that stool. But
if it was a green child,
they'd like that stool. Right. So that would not be a good consequence for a green child.
Right.
Yeah, it's interesting. If a green child was consistently disobedient, they would have something that would take them a lot of effort to complete.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
And there's a ministry, or lots of ministries, but it's like love and respect or something, that the two are interchangeable. And so if you don't have respect, you don't have love, and if you don't have love, there's no respect. And how feeding those two things are so important. So
I skipped over that. I am assuming I'm talking to Christian families, and Christians, and God is the most important thing in the home. And so you are showing God's love by correcting your children. Mm-hmm. You are showing how much he loves them by wanting them to grow up and be good kids. Yeah. So the love has got to be there. The kids, I always said, I can walk into a room with 60 kids and be in complete charge without having anybody around me. Mm-hmm. Because the first thing I do is let them know how much I want to be there and how much I love them. And from then on, they're mine. Right. And they do respect me, and they do know that I love them.
Well, and you're strict. I mean, you always demanded respect.
That's right.
But I mean, who knows some of the parents these days, how they might not be so happy with your strict, but truly, I mean, the way you would run rehearsals, you demanded professionalism from kids. Mm-hmm. And I mean, when I was a kid, I was like, oh yeah, I'm a professional. Because Kathleen, I'm a professional. So this is a professional program. This isn't just for running around the stage. You know, there's rules here, and they're going to be followed, or else you're kicked out of here. And right. But the truth is that we all loved you, and the kids you work with feel safe with you and feel confident. Yeah. And I can totally see that, how we don't have to be monsters, but we do need to be in control. And that ultimately that's how we love our children. And the Bible's clear about that too. You know, as far as disciplining your children is actually how you show love, and not maintaining that discipline is hatred for the child. So
and I there are kids that I have heard tell their parents, I hate you. And they can be being picked up from drama, and the parent will come too early. They want to play with their friends. And I've heard a child yell, I hate you. And the parent does nothing, and they go get in the car. Mm-hmm. And I think, how sad. They would never say that to me. Right. Ever. They wouldn't get away with it, for one thing, but it just wouldn't happen. And it's sad. It's sad that a parent has lost control.
Exactly. And I think the hardest thing as a parent dealing with it, and having, you know, pre-teenage kids too, is just consistency. That, you know, especially red kids, but when they know that they can get in there and get away with something, they're going to do it, you know, they're going to do it again. You can't just be like, oh, I'm too tired to deal with this. Fine, do whatever. That I've learned the worst thing I could do as a parent is fine, whatever.
Yeah, no. And the best part you can do is lead them to Jesus and a personal relationship, because you can use that in your disciplining and in your correction. The fact that, let's open the Bible and see what God says.
Right.
And there's so many verses about you can't talk back to your dad. You can't talk back to your mom. In Proverbs, all kinds of wisdom about how you treat people. Mm-hmm. There's always the Bible that you can point them to. And if they respect you and they respect God's word, you've got it made.
And as the kids get older, I find it helpful to discuss with them the why behind it. I'm doing this because God called me to it. I'm doing this out of love. I would be disobeying the Lord, and I would actually be showing you less than love if I didn't take care of this the way I'm supposed to. So, but it's a constant challenge for parents, for sure, to acknowledge it and just kind of, I don't know, let the devices or let the culture take care of them instead of being on top of it all and being consistent.
Yep.
Definitely.
I want to go back to one other thing you said. As a green mom or a blue mom, you can get overwhelmed easily because you think it's such a big picture. It's such a huge undertaking. I just want to encourage you. You start small, and you're consistent, and you keep it simple. And you don't have to be screaming. You don't have to be doing that, as long as you set all the guidelines up ahead of time. And it's so much easier to correct your kids and to have a happy home life when everybody knows what's going to happen if they don't obey. It's not and you can say, I'm so sorry I have to do this, but this was what we agreed on, you know. So these are the rules, and it will take 6 months to start doing it consistently, but it will work. And after that 6 months, it's home run.
Yeah.
Then you only have to worry about hormones when they're teenagers. And they all look differently because of their temperaments, but they love you, they will respect you, and you won't have a difficult time.
Right. And I feel like, especially when the hormones kick in, there's more of a feeling of control in themselves. They know how to have self-control. When their hormones are making them feel completely crazy and not themselves, they don't know how to deal with all of the different emotions. But if we've prepared them with order and expectation of respect, they're able to they've learned self-control. So, dear Lord, help me. I hope I've done, I hope I've done enough of that. Fortunately, my oldest is already very, she's aware of needing to be respectful of adults. She lets loose a little bit at home, but her being in her gymnastics field has demanded a lot of discipline and respect and control. But yeah, I'm actually a little, well, I'm surprised, but I'm glad that that's your answer about what's the most important thing families can be doing. Because I look at the world right now and it seems like there's a lot of big adult temper tantrums going on.
Oh my goodness.
Right?
Yes.
And so learning, the people we have the most respect for, I think, generally are people who have respect.
Right. I was thinking about what maybe a secular person would say, that the most important thing was education or power or accomplishments. And that will never even happen without respect and without God being number one. It's just amazing how much he can do. He can explode your world. And that's the coolest thing about belonging to him. Right.
I did have this question about the holidays.
Oh, I love that one.
So, and people, I mean, it's not just the timing. It's amazing to me as we do enter into the holiday season, how temperaments really play into how you celebrate the holidays.
Oh my goodness. They are a big deal in my home. Now, you remember I'm a yellow. And so everything has to be fun. Everything has to be over the top. Yellows love to decorate. Yellows love to be dramatic. And they want people to walk in their house and go, oh, wow.
Which we do. And you have a husband who makes these things for you, like 2-story doll houses and a Parisian mural that looks like you're in a Parisian street in your entryway, or a merry-go-round in the living room one Christmas. I mean, when Kathleen says it's over the top, that's an understatement.
Kind of, yeah. And every year, I have a different theme for Christmas. So, and it usually starts at Christmas. As soon as Christmas is over, I go to the stores and I get all their half-price stuff for my theme for the next year. This is the first year I haven't had a theme, and my grandkids are freaking out, and it's really funny because of the pandemic, but because of everything else that was going on at the end of last Christmas. I just didn't get one, and then I didn't have the excitement to get it during the pandemic here. So we're having a meeting next week with my grandchildren, and they're going to tell me the theme for Christmas. So this will be fun.
How fun.
I know. A couple of years ago, I had 5 golden rings, and my house had the gold and the rings all over the place. And yeah, I've done everything. Santa Claus's home was last Christmas, actually in his house. So my whole house was that way.
Oh my goodness, how fun.
But the temperaments, you really need to understand your kids when it comes to the holidays, because it will make your house so much more fun and so much easier for you. The little reds want to be in charge. They want to run it. And if you're a mom that would let that happen and enjoy it, let them do it. If they're capable, let them do it. But give them something to do that they can own and that they can accomplish for Christmas, whether it be decorating the mantle, or whether it be putting up the tree and decorating the tree. Whatever a red can do, make it something that they can accomplish, and let them own it. The yellows, they just want it to be fun, and they want it to be new, and they want it to be different, and they want surprises, and they want different than this last year.
Yeah, and I would say that the big mistake, or the thing that I've learned is, and we struggle with this now with Pinterest lifestyle and magazines, where we want the decorating to be monochromatic like perfect. And I realized it's just fun to have the decorations and let go of that perfection and that perfect looking, Instagram, Pinterest room, because that is so boring for a yellow.
I had a tree in each of our kids' rooms, a little tree. And it doesn't have to, I mean, you can get those for nothing. But I would go into tree lots and get the Charlie Brown trees and beg them for, scraps, so they can decorate their own trees. And they can do anything they want with their own trees, because I was a control freak, being a yellow red. So my main house tree had to be done right. So I did get the Pinterest bug thing going there. But there's part of the house that's all theirs. And they need to have a place where they can decorate and they can be fun and do something that brings creative out of them, especially the yellows. Now, so interesting about the blues. My sister's a blue, and she's had the same Christmas tree for 35 years and the same ornaments. And she loves them because they're all memories.
Right.
From different years. And she remembers the kids and she remembers everything. And the little blues want tradition.
Exactly. Yep.
They don't want you to change things. They want, well, last year we did this. Well, why aren't we doing this? It means a lot to them.
Right.
So you have the little yellow and the little blue in the same house, and you have to find a place that each one can have fun and do something that's meaningful.
Right.
And the little green does not want a mess.
The mess.
They want it easy. They want it to be fun, but they don't want it loud. They don't want anything upsetting at Christmas.
Right.
Which is very hard on a green. The louder Christmas gets.
Oh yeah. And that's me, and that's the hard part. I've got me who would rather just not do all of it. Just watch a movie and let that be.
Yes.
And the blue, red, she wants the magazine and she wants everything the same every year. All right, so final questions. You said you can't dance, but I bet you could do the glory dance stuff.
Oh yeah, it's like doing choreography.
Okay.
I could put it on my TV and I could definitely do it.
Okay, so you'll do it. That's my question. You're gonna try out glory dance, and you have a bunch of other talented people in your family. So I would love to see, maybe a video of everybody at the next family gathering. Oh, okay. maybe that holiday meeting. I should send you guys a dance challenge for the Chapman family.
There you go.
Dynasty.
Okay. That would work. That would work.
I love it. The final question that I hope to ask anyone that I do a podcast with is, what was the most recent thing you did that filled you with joy?
My granddaughter turned 16 and she wanted a murder mystery. And I wrote it for the whole family, all 19 of us. And it was the most exciting evening. Nobody guessed it. Nobody guessed what was going to happen. You had to come all dressed up according to your character. And it was the Academy Awards. So everybody got to dress all up beautifully. And that was the most incredible night and experience. Yeah.
That is incredible. You didn't elaborate on the murder mystery thing.
Yeah.
That is
really, it was for my granddaughter. And literally
a yellow granddaughter, right?
What?
Yellow granddaughter.
No.
Oh, no. I'm thinking 16, so I'm thinking of, okay, so it's
no, Grace is a blue.
Okay.
She's a blue-green. So her blue took it very seriously, and she got into the characters and the plot, and she was trying to figure out who did it, and her green loved to dress up and just go, No,
it was so fun for everybody. That is so cool.
It was so cool. And it got my creative juices out going again. And
what a perfect thing to do after this whole all the lockdown and all of the time spent alone and away from your family. That's brilliant.
And it was a party.
Yeah.
So
very, very important for Yellows to have the parties.
Very important. Yes.
All right. Well, thank you, Kathleen. I'm excited to share this with everybody.
Oh, good, Roz. I love you and I'm proud of you. And I'm looking forward to this glory dance.
Thank you.
All right.
You too.
Keep me posted.
I can't wait to get your video of doing the glory dance.
Okay, so you got to get on it.
All right.
Okay. All right. Bye.
All right. Have a wonderful day.
You too.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Glory Talk, the podcast ministry of Glory Dance, online dance fitness that gives God the glory, and Glowy Dance for kids. Visit our website, glory.dance, to follow us and join our email list, as well as become a member for our exclusive videos and content. Subscribe and leave us a review, comment, or message if you enjoyed this podcast. I sincerely pray today that you are blessed and God touches your heart. Goodbye.